The your mom jokes only hide the sadness so much. Okay, shut the fuck up. Don't make this serious. Stop sending me the N74. Okay, Jill Biden got COVID. We looked at goat yoga. First Lady Jill Biden has tested positive for COVID-19. According to her office, she has been prescribed a course of Paxlovid and, following CDC guidance, will isolate from others for at least 5 days, her spokesperson says. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's get into it. Let's get into the other news. We looked at Patreon. What the fuck is this? Oh, this is the. Yeah, that's right. Amazon. 160 plus workers, Amazon workers, just walked off the job at an air freight facility in San Bernardino, California, by the way. 900 workers signed a petition in July calling for a $5 raise. Amazon responded by advising workers to use apps like Gas Buddy to save money.
Hey, boss. What's up, hero? What's up? What's up?
I love the no weapons. I love the no weapons fucking sign on the door at the Amazon air freight facility, by the way. Like, just such a dude, America is so fucking insane. I swear to God, bro. What the fuck are we doing? Brother, how can you look at that and go, that's like, this is normal. This is God damn. It is known to stop guns from entering. Yeah, a gun will be like, oh, well, sir, there's no guns in here. Is this true? Why would Amazon do this with TikTok and not Twitch? Amazon makes creators sign non-disparagement agreements. They think they can prevent us from speaking out against their unjust labor practices and union busting, but they're sadly mistaken. People Over Prime is now 51 million collective followers and growing as we speak. Wait, what the fuck? Amazon? I've never signed one of these. Holy shit. I hope they don't try to make me sign one of these because, oh, that would be very tricky. Also, that would be a direct violation of my freedom of speech. That would be fucking ridiculous. I was watching a video about why Denmark, I mean, they could technically do it, but aren't you too big to be bullied, though? What are you against Amazon? Are you fucking insane, dude? What? Because I have 34,000 fucking live viewers, you think I'm big enough to fucking not be bullied by Amazon? Are you insane? Fuckers be like, bro, you're a Twitch streamer. Aren't you bigger than Amazon? Yeah, I'm bigger than Jeff Bezos, bro. It's funny to think that, like, Amazon, which in Bessemer, Alabama, famously had enough power to change the red light near their distribution facility, specifically because people that wanted to organize were using the red light as a means of communicating with some of the workers that were leaving the facility, as a method to organize, okay? And, like, what ended up happening in that circumstance straight up was Amazon changed the red light duration, which ended up creating traffic jams and led to car crashes, by the way. That's how much power Amazon has. That's how much power Amazon has, and you're over here being like, dude, what? Pff, you can fight against it. I mean, I'll try. But yeah, it's pretty funny that people think like I'm too big to fucking fail. Okay, so a coalition of TikTok creators is pledging to cease all work with Amazon, including shutting down storefronts and halting new partnerships until the company meets the demands of Amazon labor union. I like this. Gen Z TikTok creators are turning against Amazon. The People Over Prime campaign is a public setback for the company, which has courted influencers. A coalition of top TikTok stars is pledging to cease all work with Amazon, including shutting down storefronts and halting new partnerships with the e-commerce platform until the company meets the demands of the Amazon labor union. Boasting a combined following of over 51 million, the group of 70 TikTok creators says the campaign called the People Over Prime Pledge is designed to pressure Amazon to meet the requests of workers, which include a $30 minimum wage, increased paid time off, and halting activities the group considers union busting. I mean, this is so that, for the record, this is because like Amazon does a ton. Amazon Fashion does a ton of collaborations with content creators. Does a ton of collaboration with content creators, especially on TikTok, but even on Twitch as well. And I think that's what they're referencing. Wait, TikTok is Amazon? No. They're saying that they don't want to work with Amazon and do like product placement for Amazon and like all the marketing that they do for Amazon until Amazon is meets the demands. Meanwhile, Amazon already has its own fucking problems, as we talked about with Chris Smalls, and you can find this and more of the conversation that I had with Chris Smalls on my YouTube page, where we talked about where is it? Here it is. The man shutting down Amazon, Chris Smalls. I had him over last week, and we even talked about this. Amazon has a gigantic turnover problem because they're too big. So they're too big for their own good. And now they are running into issues. Whew. Their turnover rate is incredible. It's built into their low. It's built into their hiring practices, built into their firing practices, built into their bottom line, basically. Not because of shitty working conditions. No, of course. Shitty working conditions are obviously the main problem here. But the mechanism to fight back against a shitty working condition in a distribution facility is by unionizing, right? But if you factor in turnover as a method to stop unionization efforts from occurring, because like anyone that's there is there for 2 years and then they fuck off, right? They're broken, they're fired, or they don't want to, they're basically not pushed towards like staying in the company for a long period of time. Then what ends up happening is you don't have enough people in the workplace you always have new fresh blood in the facility. So people are more desperate for the job. They don't want to unionize and say like, hold on, maybe we should make it better. They purposely only offered $15 per hour per week jobs for several years for now. But yeah, the 2-year time frame is like the deliberate time frame. But if you're so big and you're everywhere around the country, and you have to be everywhere around the country, right? Then all of a sudden you're going to run into that issue where like you fucked over half the town. You know what I mean? The Amazon hiring issue is a perfect example of capital's tendency to crash when it runs out of places to exploit. Yes, exactly. That is a built-in problem within capitalism, an inherent contradiction coming to its final conclusion, as Karl Marx correctly pointed out. This is very similar to the rate of profit and its tendency to fall. Because you're going to run out of places to exploit. No, I was just kidding in my last chat. Don't ban me if you someday end up looking at my chat history because I said some stupid shit. Wait, you have 34K viewers? I thought you got like 2,000 max. I watch on YouTube. What? No, I'm not gonna fucking ban you for that, weirdo. If Twitch said you couldn't say bad things about Amazon, if you want to keep streaming on the platform, what would you do? I would find a way to say bad things about Amazon regardless. What do you mean? The fuck kind of question is that? Like there are certain things that Twitch was like you can't do that I stopped doing, like promoting ad block and promoting VPNs that you can use, or a method to use a VPN to avoid the ad breaks at the top of the hour. But ultimately, you know, like that sort of stuff is understandable, okay? Like, it's a valid question, lol. No, I know. I mean, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to fucking control that level of speech. Like that would be crazy. Amazon is a gigantic fucking company. They have horrifying labor union practices. They're union busting. You know what I mean? So, yeah. You think Twitch Partners Union could happen? No. I do not. News alert. Check out PLA generals' take on U.S. hegemony and why they think we're agitating regarding Taiwan. First time watching China media, planning PRC trip. Their takes are shocking, non-aggressive in any of our media. Genuinely shocking contrast. This coverage should start around 12:30. Prior to description of drills. Sorry for repetitive. Genuinely want your take, though? No, I'm not watching that. Biden signing the Inflation Reduction Act live right now? Yeah, I don't care about that. Okay. Amazon Labor Union, which did not help organize people over Prime Pledge, didn't immediately respond to a request for comment. The campaign is a public setback for Amazon, which has sought to develop tighter relationships with the young influencers in recent years. You know, the irony of this is that, first of all, friend of the show, Taylor Lorenz, is writing this at the Washington Post, which is owned by Jeff Bezos. Just like, think about that for a second. I am on Twitch, a platform owned by Jeff Bezos. I had this man on your screen, you know, Jeff Bezos' biggest enemy currently, on my broadcast, where we talked about Jeff Bezos' horrifying labor practices. It is very interesting that, like, at a certain level, when you grow so much and you own so much, that you are inevitably going to have people within the products and the properties that you own speak out against you regularly because you own everything. Part of that is because there's literally no threat to power, even though I would say platforming someone like Chris Malls is the biggest threat to power for someone like Jeff Bezos. That is 100% like you're crazy if you think that that is not a direct threat to power. He has cost Amazon millions of dollars in union busting labor lawyers. Okay, like that is a threat. But also, secondly, it's not as big as a threat to power. Obviously, it's not. I make no mistake. But also, you have to understand the famous quote that capitalists will sell you the rope of which you hang them with is obviously an exaggeration. I'm not saying, I'm not like making like a violent threat or anything like that, but the concept still stands. As long as you are literally making money for the company, which I am, It is a metaphor, but as long as you are making money for the company, then it's fine. The best anti-capitalist show being made right now is The Boys is an Amazon product. Yeah, I mean, anti-capitalist is anti-imperialist, which is ironic because Amazon has defense contracts. You know what I mean? Like, they work with the intelligence communities. They just don't care. They kind of... The dude probably knows nothing about Twitch but makes disgusting amounts of money off of it. Yeah, I mean, it's just one part of it. And I don't even know if I don't even think that Amazon is making money off of Twitch. I don't think they're turning profit. I don't think Twitch is profitable. I think that was more so a play to own the live streaming, live broadcasting space because they see it as like, they see it as a means to control or dominate an entire type of content for the future. It's just like a medium that you are able to monopolize. And ultimately, it's with goals to every company works the same way, chat. You literally fucking buy into something and then you desperately and quickly try to monopolize, okay? And then once you reach that, once you reach that level of market control, then you start finding ways of making the product worse slowly but surely, which has already started happening, and ultimately try to make as much money as possible off of it. Thinking that The Boys is a Watchmen knockoff proves you watch neither show, lol. Wait, I never said that. What is this? CreatorHype.com. Is Twitch profitable? When we think about Twitch, is it profitable? Content delivery live, total hours streamed, total hours watched, total data per hour, live origination rate. However, this is at pricing that anyone is able to access the media package. Twitch likely gets this at cost, so let's assume a 20% reduction. Content storage, staff rent, etc. Okay, just give me the answer. It is 1.8 billion in total expenses and 1.5 billion in total revenues. It's nearly profitable. Had they hit their ad goals for 2019, an extra 300 million, they would have broken even. Okay. Surely these numbers are perfectly right. No, it's not, obviously. It's just like a wild estimation. My 85-year-old grandfather retired from unionized U.S. Pipe in Chattanooga, Tennessee in 1998. He retired making roughly $11 an hour. Says to this day, being unionized was the best thing he was ever a part of. Go. Did you watch The Sandman on Netflix yet? No, I have not. The money and the data Amazon gets from viewers. What? Here's why fighting youth obesity is a matter of national security. This is from 2018 chatter. You said 71% of Americans aged 17 to 24 are ineligible to join the military. What the fuck? That's hilarious. That's from 2018. The obesity issue is the most troubling because the trend is going in the wrong direction, said then Major General Alan Batchelet. My man's last name is Batshit. The commanding general of the Army Recruiting Command in 2015. We think by 2020 it could be as high as 50%, which means only 2 in 10 would qualify for the Army. We're too fat. We're so fat it's become a matter of national security. Good thing cinema prevented us from taxing private equity. It would hurt this sort of innovation. A North Carolina hospital owned by private equity giant Apollo is descending into extreme chaos. people are dying, and ER doctors say it's the worst they've ever seen. We went inside to investigate a meltdown of for-profit healthcare in rural America. Dude, this is a gigantic fucking problem. More Perfect Union is just popping off with incredible videos like this. Let's get started with that one before we move on to the Trump stuff.
Wilson is a small town. At one point in time, it was the world's biggest tobacco supplier and things like that. Everybody knows everybody there. I like that aspect of it, but there's certain things in Wilson that they could get better at, and one of those things is the hospital. This picture is...
What? I opened TikTok and this is literally the first thing I see.
Alright guys, I think I may have just found a side hustle that has huge potential to earn money.
Hassan Parker realizing as long as he doesn't literally say, I think women are inferior beings, he can be as misogynistic as he likes because he's hot.
And nobody's doing it. Alright guys, I think I may have just found a...
Yeah, and I still watch his JC's videos. What about it?
side hustle that has huge potential to earn money and nobody's doing it.
Hassan is leftist, but he's never actually critical about his alignments. He has been educated by men and lib fems and therefore shares their opinions. To be clear, I don't hate Hassan. I think he's good for the left. I don't agree with sex work. He's constantly beyond the fence on the topic. His views aren't clear, but he did say the sex work is exploitative in nature. All work is exploitative in nature. Dirty swerves for the real misogynist. I don't think this person is even attacking me that much. Like, to be fair, I think this person is just like joking. Is your TikTok in Greek? No, the chatter who sent this is like, I guess, German. You banned the last chatter who linked this TikTok? Really? Well, now I didn't. They're completely skipping over the fact that you're ableist. Yeah, that too. All right, let's watch rural hospitals.
I think it was my first Christmas, and you can definitely see how happy he is, and you know, him as a person. In 2020, he went to the hospital just for a few regular things, just going in and then never came out, basically. My father fell in the ICU, and he fell because his arms weren't restrained, the bed alarm wasn't on, so he pulled the tube out of his throat, stood up, yelled, fell. That's where the nurse found him after however many minutes in a pool of blood when he fell.
Wilson Medical Center is the only hospital serving Wilson County, North Carolina. After being bought by a private equity behemoth, doctors, nurses, and patients have told me the hospital is putting profit over care to an extreme degree. It's nothing more than a place to die now, several Wilsonians have told me, and a clear and sobering view of the dismal state of rural healthcare in America.
This is an extraction operation. It's a billionaire factory, and they're doing that by essentially mining the wealth of poor rural communities.
So many people I know will not go to Wilson Hospital if they can help it.
If you're profit-driven and you're not concerned about patient care, the recipe is exactly what we have in Wilson, and it's a disaster.
Doctors I've spoken with say chronic understaffing has diminished this once respectable hospital into a glorified for-profit urgent care.
I've been an ER doctor for 2 decades in more hospitals than you can comprehend, and Wilson is the worst.
Corners are being cut, and in my opinion, patient safety is...
Guys, this is just the consequence of for-profit healthcare, baby. If you're not profitable, if your hospital is not profitable, and rural areas hospitals, well, no hospital is really profitable, let's be real. They just, like, especially if they can't get, like, a lot of elective surgeries, you know, that's where a lot of hospitals make their money in general. But they also make their money with, like, people who have the capacity to pay for healthcare and have the capacity to pay for the actual fucking insanely overpriced bills that they charge, because the American healthcare system is, like, fundamentally broken. Okay, it's broken because of the for-profit hospital care that they have. It's broken because there's a really overpriced mediator. There's a really overpriced mediator industry called the insurance industry. Pharmaceuticals can charge whatever the fuck they want to even the government that's buying pharmaceuticals in bulk, right? So even after all of that, what ends up happening in hospitals basically is that you pay $75 for a fucking Hall's cough drop if you look at your itemized receipt, if you can get your itemized receipt. The reason why you're paying for that is because 12 other people have no capacity to pay for that, so they just didn't pay for it at all. So they have to offset the cost both to your insurance and also to you because you have the capacity to pay. And instead of doing that, we could just completely revamp the system and create a gigantic pool in the same way that insurance works, because that's how it's supposed to work, right? You can create a gigantic pool in the form of fucking taxes and pay for all this shit up front, and that everyone would pay for all this shit up front so that we wouldn't have to have these sorts of issues when we go to the fucking hospitals. But we can't do that. Instead, we play this song and dance. We play the song and dance over and over and over again. And now, rural areas, especially like super Republican, super red areas, turn around and advocate for, more deregulation and more tax breaks and all this other shit. They fucking hate socialism, blah, blah, blah. And then they can't get any fucking adequate health coverage or healthcare in general because these hospitals are just not profitable. And if we had the same attitude that we have, the same capitalist attitude that we have towards hospitals, if we had that same exact attitude towards roads, or if we had that same exact attitude towards the U.S. Postal Service, those motherfuckers living in rural areas would not have roads, and they would not have any sort of utilities, and they would certainly not even be able to get their fucking medicine in the mail. That's the worst part about this, okay? Roads, hospitals, and even shelter should not be for profit, okay? These are things that you fundamentally need for survival.
Is being compromised.
Every single day, I dreaded going to work.
The private equity business model is fundamentally incompatible with sound healthcare that serves patients. And that incompatibility inevitably turns deadly.
I come here all the time. On my 21st birthday, I came and I took a fireball shot with him. And it stayed here ever since March 12th, even through all the storms and everything. I don't know how, but it stayed here. Whenever it showed on his death certificate that it was blunt force trauma to the head, that's when I really realized, it wasn't because of him. It was because of neglect. It was because some people weren't doing what they were supposed to do. There was supposed to be a bed sitter, or if not a bed sitter, a nurse was always supposed to be at her station. None of that happened. Whenever I found that out, I was shocked. I was kind of mad. I was angry.
Wilson Medical Center recently made headlines after federal regulators threatened to pull their Medicare funding, an extremely rare move. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services outlined the immediate jeopardy at the hospital linked to 2 patient deaths.
There's all kinds of instances where I think that the patient is not first on the list. And that's what my concern is. And that's why I said something to the county commissioners.
William Ferris is an attorney in Wilson. He spoke up about the report at a July 11th County Board of Commissioners meeting when it didn't.
The closest hospitals to me are 45 minutes away. One has been bought and sold 4 different times over the past couple of years. I fucking hate living in a rural area. Yup. Why? Because it's not profitable. Turns out some of these things should not be left up to the profit motive. When will we learn? I don't know.
Didn't make the agenda.
We're in immediate jeopardy for losing Medicare funding. That's less than 3.
Genuine question. Does public health care still incentivize innovation? And if so, how? I want to know the talking points. Of course it does, man. America's novel chemical compound creation per capita is actually much lower than other countries with socialized medicine, okay? Medicine is not even created inside of fucking labs in private corporations. Novel chemical compounds and new medicine is usually created by publicly funded research or wealthy benefactor funded research inside of colleges, okay? This incentivization for innovation has historically been completely false. In contemporary society, you can look to a country like Cuba, which takes a lot of pride in having a robust healthcare infrastructure, a robust publicly funded medical community that has even found that currently has a working lung cancer vaccine, for example. Okay, in spite of the unjustifiable and I would say violent crime against humanity blockade that the United States, the world's largest imperial global hegemonic power, has placed upon them. So it's just ridiculous. You look to people who have created insulin, for example. The person who invented insulin patented it for $1. Wanted to give it away for free. The idea that like innovation is linked to the profit motive is a silly lie that capitalists have pushed for in perpetuity. Okay? But it doesn't even bear itself out in the data. It doesn't bear itself out throughout history. And it certainly has never bared itself out even in the fucking data itself.
3% of the hospitals, less than 3% of the hospitals that are surveyed have that problem.
So let me just be real clear. The doctors and nurses, they're not responsible for anything that's happening. My problem is with the management of the hospital all the way up to Apollo.
Oh, one other thing I will tell you. A lie that capitalist corporations and capitalism defenders will also tell you is the innovation within private corporations, like private pharmaceutical corporations. That innovation is just new mechanisms of trying to fucking maintain a patent so you stay profitable. Okay? The only innovation that these giant pharmaceutical corporations bring to the table is new ways of sitting on pre-existing patents that were sold to said companies. Okay? That's it. That's it. It's a delivery mechanism that one simple trick that that big pharma uses regularly is delivery mechanisms. They will find new ways, they will find new delivery methods, and that's all the R&D that they're doing so that they can sit on the patent for another fucking 8 years. You are biggest fraud. You don't deserve your platform, in my opinion. I agree. I should be telling you what you want to hear, which is that you're right. Medical technology is profound. It's really important, and the only time it happens is inside of private corporations. And yes, your father should die because he couldn't get access to insulin in the United States of America. And I should tell you why it's okay, because he's a loser and he didn't work hard enough. And if you're poor, if you're brokey and you're poor, then you deserve it. Right? That's what I should tell you. Is that what you want to hear in a nicer way? Some of you motherfuckers would rather not hear the reality because it feels really sad and scary to like finally recognize it. And you rather would just want someone to tell you, bedtime stories. You can get that anywhere else. Why do you come here for the first fucking time? Maybe you are right. Okay, thanks. Why do you come here for the first fucking time? You can get that anywhere else. You go to CNN, they'll tell you that. Anywhere. All the liberal outlets will tell you the exact same thing. So why the fuck do you come here and get mad?
Global Management, one of the biggest private equity firms in the world, bought around 70 LifePoint hospitals, including the one in Wilson, in 2018 for $5.6 billion. The deal was part of a much bigger trend. Private equity firms plowed $750 billion into American healthcare institutions between 2010 and 2020.
That easy profit is what drives private equity to invest in healthcare. It creates this appealing landscape because it's somewhat of a wild, wild west.
Olivia Smith is an attorney with Wallace & Graham.
For what it's worth, it's really hard to make safe new medicines, academic or industry. Yeah, no shit. Of course it's fucking hard. but that doesn't factor in like the profit incentive at all.
Her experience in suing private equity-owned healthcare facilities has made her very familiar with the private equity playbook.
What they often do is form a...
I just did a pharmaceutical conference where they flat out admitted this. They created a new delivery mechanism for eye medicine so they could keep the patent. Of course, when I say stuff like this, I'm not pulling this information out of my ass. I'm telling you, I've been doing this for many, many fucking years, okay? And I don't have the American Enterprise Institute to fucking write talking points for me so I could just sit around and like churn that pro-capitalist propaganda out in the same way that motherfucking Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder do. This is well-researched shit. Yeah, this is what they do. Their R&D, their budgets go to marketing, and their budgets go to R&D. R&D that it revolves entirely around reinstituting their patents because they created a new mechanism, a delivery system. Another thing that they will do is if a patent is about to fucking... If they have no new delivery system, and if the patent is about to be released to the public, so now there's going to be low-cost generic alternatives available, then they won't even fucking do any sort of genuine testing. They won't even fucking try to figure out a new way of using the medication. Bro, my friend's dad patented a boat propeller for said company, and he made $0 with the company making profit on boat engines for decades to come.
Corporation or an LLC or any kind of corporate form, and the legal owner will be the corporate form, not the two owners. So they have insulated themselves from any connection between the operations and the healthcare and themselves. Often we see the actual property that the health facility.
One of the biggest barriers for rural healthcare is attracting an adequate workforce, and a lot of states have to come up with rural scholarship incentive programs to get doctors after residency to work in rural areas. I'm one of these recipients. You know what another fucking gigantic problem is? And this is something I talk about regularly, like all the fucking time. And Bernie Sanders mentioned it as well. At the top of the hour, there's a 60-second ad break. And if you no longer want to see those ads, okay, if you're a rural healthcare worker, you got your scholarship, and you don't want to see those ads anymore, then all you need to do is subscribe, which you can do for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime. You can also get gifted a sub if you're lucky. However, if you're not lucky, you want to make your own luck and you want it to do it for free, just steal someone else's Amazon Prime account, connect it to your Twitch account, and use it here. Your favorite broadcaster with the best fucking debates. Here's the 1 minute ad break. Now, okay, what I was gonna say is this: one of the main components to solving the problem of socialized medicine is also making sure that education, especially for medicine, is fucking free. Okay? That is the other part of this equation that Americans don't usually talk about. If you want to be a fucking doctor, other countries have already created a system where you can, still make a fuckload of money, maybe not as much money as you can in America, but you make a fuckload of money by saving a fuckload of money. You don't have to be indebted. You don't have to be fucking $300,000, $400,000 in debt to just become a doctor, to become a, important part of the workforce, a necessary part of the workforce. The only way to solve that is literally by fucking making that education free. Okay? You have to do that. You have to abolish student debt, and you have to absolutely make university, specifically, especially for medical degrees, free. And then because the government's paying for it, then the government can also say, hey, you got to go work at a fucking rural hospital for 2 years. You know what I mean? You got to do your residency at a rural hospital. We will pay for your cost of living. We will help you, but you have to do it. That is how places like Turkey operate, okay? And there's so much more corruption in places like that, but that is how it works. And you're supposed to do that, and plenty of people would 100% go that route if they had the opportunity to go that route. Okay? But of course, once again, these are programs that like literally third world countries have, by the way. What I'm describing is not something that is completely insane. What I'm describing is normal process even in fucking developing nations, okay? If they can do it, then we, the wealthiest nation on earth, can do it as well. Thank you, Junior Turtle, for the 10 gifted subs, allowing 10 people to no longer see the ads. FDR did this 90 years ago.
This is quite literally why minimum
I can only wish that everyone has had or have a fulfilled life as I have had and continue
wage
to every
was
day.
established with the New Deal. With the collapse of the 1929 stock market and war in Europe, FDR had a mess to inherit, and this is how he fixed it. Time for some history, kids.
A second Bill of Rights,
That's the New Deal.
under which a new basis of security and prosperity can be established for all, regardless of station or race or creed.
Civil rights.
Among these are the right to a useful and remunerative job, the right to earn enough to provide adequate food and clothing.
I can't watch this guy. I just like TikTok kills me a little bit. Okay, no disrespect if that dude's a fan or whatever, but like I just can't. Okay. There's little evidence that certain medications that have been used to curb nicotine addiction can also help people curb their alcohol addiction and cravings, but literally alcohol rules America, so there's no real funding or research on it. How sad is that? Imagine a patch that could help alcoholics. That would be amazing. Damn, I did not know that. R&D in the majority of S&E disciplines is performed solely with the outlook of creating patentable inventions. Whether that research was funded through the government, public, through the private industry is mostly irrelevant, as you mentioned. You're wrong about pharma. I work in pharma. Okay, shut up, Stryker. Be serious.
Facility is put into a separate LLC, and
we completely, here's the thing. We completely fucking let go of the notion that like, God, this is such a fucking classic. I mean, I hate that. I mean, I hate to use theory hour here, but it's the, what's the fucking, what was it? I think it was Marx who said it, but it was like, greed under capitalism and thinking that human greed is the primary motivator under a capitalist organization of the economy, and it's a part of human nature, is kind of like saying that black lung is a part of human nature because all you know is working in the fucking coal mines. Okay? I don't know if it was Marx. I forget who said that. But regardless, like, yes, if you only work in the fucking coal mines, if you only work in the coal mines, your life and your reality is like, yeah, everyone's got shitty lungs. Okay? Everyone's got shitty lungs. Yeah, that's just a normal part of the process. Even if greed is an integral part of human nature is literally all about overcoming nature. It's not natural to live in fucking skyscrapers, and yet we take that for granted. Okay? The idea that human beings can only be motivated by selfish desire, by greed, is silly as fuck. Especially when there are so many other alternative reasons for why people do the things that they do. And throughout history, they have proven that there are other reasons as to why innovation has prospered. The motherfucker who made the wheel, okay, the motherfucker who invented the wheel was like, oh, this is good. This is good. Didn't do it because he was like, oh, this way you give me meat. He did it because it was like, this is going to improve society. Maybe I'll get some fucking cave girl pussy, okay? There are other motivating principles. Marx had this quote that it hit the nail on the head pretty well. It is not the consciousness of men that determines their being, but on the contrary, their social being that determines their consciousness. The wheel would have been invented 10,000. The wheel would have been invented 10,000 years earlier if cavemen had patents and LLCs. Yeah, that's true. Exactly.
Owned by the same owners, of course. However, they then lease themselves that building. There's also various ways that they can further vertically integrate through pharmacies, through staffing companies, through housekeeping and hospitality companies.
Consistently your worst point, humans are animals and many animals are just as, if not more advanced than humans. We are going to off ourselves before spending very long on the earth. What? Dude, that's awesome. That is, dude, I love that. That's a good take. That's a unique one.
All of these can be owned by the same individuals, theoretically, but placed into separate corporate forms and transact in business with one another. And so
it was Andrew Collier. To look at people in a capitalist society and conclude that human nature is egoism is like looking at people in a factory where pollution is destroying their lungs and saying that it is human nature to cough.
Really, it's just a kind of musical chairs of moving money around from one pocket to another.
We asked Olivia to look at the ownership chart for Wilson Medical Center to help us better understand how the private equity model has affected the hospital.
In an ideal world, only the bottom entity would exist. And I say that because that's the medical provider, that is the healthcare provider. In reality, it's this top entity that's making those decisions by virtue of setting budgets and providing set amounts of money that the bottom entity can actually spend on patient care. And so that distance, what it does is it entails severe budget cuts.
Apollo financed much of the transaction to buy LifePoint with so-called sub-investment grade debt, junk bonds, which came with punishing interest payments, driving the hospital chain's annual interest expenses from about $150 million in 2017 to $578 million in 2019. The deal has already paid dividends to Apollo investors who booked a $1.6 billion profit last year when the private equity firm sold LifePoint from one of its funds, Fund 8.
Perfect system. Perfect system. No changes necessary. Don't change this. How could you say that there's anything wrong with this? And also, there's no other way to change it. There's no other system that could ever work, okay? Yeah, so if you live in a rural area, get fucked and die. Eat shit and fucking die. You're gonna die. The only fucking healthcare you can get is from the vet, okay? And also, the only healthcare you can get is, if you're lucky, there's an EMT service in your region, okay? There you go. That's it. And it's quite literally happening because some guy out there that you're going to never meet is increasing their profit margin, okay? Putting an extra fucking dollar in their portfolio that they have diversified. That is fucking crazy. I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like once you realize that capitalism is creating dogmatic behavior that inherently justifies its existence, and that there is a way to just kind of see outside of that reality that you've been conditioned into believing, it breaks your brain when you look at this. You're like, this is crazy. This is so crazy to me. Bro, EMT can't just become providers of a patient. Yeah, no shit, I know. Except that's the only fucking healthcare that a lot of rural areas have. And it is a death cult. And the rural areas keep voting Republican? Of course they do, because the Republican Party is like offering them at least fun times by owning the libs or whatever, okay? That's why.
To another, Fund 9. But the money to pay off the junk bondholders that made it all possible has to come from somewhere, and it usually comes from the budgets designed to keep a hospital running.
This situation happening here is extreme, but it's happening throughout the country.
Dr. Mitchell Lee is an ER doctor in North Carolina. He also founded the group Take Medicine Back, aimed at exposing the practices of private equity in medicine.
These private equity firms have realized they can do the billing without doing the rest of it. There's no innovation as far as good patient care. There's innovation in how to extract wealth. And what that translates to is decreased staffing, do more with less, and predatory billing in a healthcare system that's already non-transparent. This just takes it to the next level. It accelerates things.
And that acceleration, unfortunately, can lead to hospital closures, devastating rural communities.
When healthcare fails, private equity firms don't take a hit. They made money either way. Heads I win, tails you lose.
You can see the cycle of extraction, deterioration, and failure on display in Wilson.
Wilson is a growing community, and instead of the hospital growing, it's shrinking. The biggest thing in the hospital, it seems, is the ER. And that's not the way it should be.
Every time I visited the hospital, the ER was packed. The rest of the hospital, however, was eerily empty. Doctors told me the hospital, which is licensed for 294 beds, was caring for just around 50 patients.
That in and of itself is sort of the deterioration. Now, does that happen in other hospitals? Absolutely. But in Wilson, the reason is because they brought those numbers down, and the reason that is because they found their happy medium. They found their corporate money.
As for the unsafe conditions threatening the hospital's Medicare funding, CMS inspectors determined during a follow-up that Wilson no longer posed an immediate jeopardy to patients. But they found so many more violations that the agency postponed its decision on Wilson's Medicare termination to September 22nd.
When Apollo comes in, it's profit over patient care.
If Wilson doesn't find a solution, the community could soon be the latest victim in a dangerous trend. At least 140 rural hospitals have closed since 2010, according to the Shep Center for Health Services Research. Experts say hundreds more are on the verge of closing due to financial distress. But that distress is not purely a natural occurrence. A 2018 GAO study found that for-profit hospitals like the one in Wilson accounted for just 11% of rural hospitals in 2013, but 36% of rural hospital closures through 2017. Ferris and many Wilson community leaders believe they may have legal standing to evict private equity from their hospital. That's because something called a reverter clause in state law governing the sale of public hospitals to for-profit entities requires Apollo to provide same or like services to what the hospital offered prior to the sale. That clearly hasn't happened.
This has got to change, and we've got to look at the reverter.
Capitalism is the problem, he said, as his stream zoomed out to allow for multinational corporation banner ads, runs manipulative ads every hour, and extracts value from workers and gives percentage to global 0.001% capitalism, begs for subs from lower class viewers for personal gain. Hashtag hypocrite. Love that. This man is fucking brilliant. Wait, you have Donald Trump. Donald Trump is in your PFP. What do you mean? Ban them for the essay? No, dude, this was a pet. We are literally, I'm keeping this one. We're keeping this one. We're keeping this one. This guy's got some good ideas. He got me. This chatter worked on this. Oh no. Yeah, no, he thought it out. That's awesome. They aren't saying it's bad. They just don't like the hypocrisy, Lamau. Okay, well, there's no hypocrisy then. Okay, I'm a capitalist. I love capitalism. Owned. Get owned.
And we cannot afford to let it go on.
No, I thought it was an ad break debate as well. We ran the ad break already. But get fucked.
They've got to change the way they do business, or they don't need to be in Wilson.
Good, you're converted. Okay. Can I still advocate against capitalism now? I'm a capitalist, but I think capitalism is bad. There you go. And you know what? If you fucking hated me, oh man, you know what I would hate the most actually? Use that energy for good, okay? If oh my god, you know what would be really fucking good? Oh dude, you know what would make me really mad? You organize your workplace, okay? Oh my god, if you voted for like politicians that would increase taxes on corporations, oh my god, that would really disrupt my life. Oh, that would make me so mad. Please. That would make me mauled so hard. You would own me, dude. You'd own the libs. Tyler Spark, thank you for the 10, get the subs. MacTac, thank you for the 5, get the subs. Oh, man, you better not do that, dude. I would fucking hate that. Oh, dude. We repeatedly told Dr. Oz that we had pre-made veggie trays, excuse me, crudité, in the deli starting at $5.99, $7.99 with guacamole and salsa. Vote John Fetterman, says Wegner's Groceries. Okay, this is not real, by the way. This is that's not a real place. That's a fake account. You guys got debated. Oh, you're the worker and the boss? What is happening? Oh, yeah, that was funny. China getting in on the 9/11 game? What is this? It's so funny how most U.S. government officials have interns who painstakingly pore over and draft their tweets that can appeal to their base, while at the same time being as inoffensive as possible, and Chinese government officials just tweet out a meme like, Bush did 9/11 Lamau. Wait, what? What, do they think that, like, Chinese government officials fucking write shit about China in the same way? Okay, listen, as much as I love, joking about all this stuff, I'm pretty sure a Chinese government official would probably not be able to fucking post about its own government in a similar capacity, okay? I'm just saying, China was tired of U.S. State Department spreading lies, so they're just doing a little trolling. No, Chinese government officials post really funny stuff about America, and, American government officials probably post, like, horrible shit about China all the fucking time. But let's be real, you know what I mean? They have a lot of leeway talking about America like that, but I don't think they have a lot of leeway talking about China in the same way. Okay? Where's your top lip, BB? Are you talking to me? Inside of your mother's pussy. Fucking got him. Oh my God. Why would you do that? Why would you fucking do that, dude? Why would you do that? No, they do. Not on Twitter, maybe, but Weibo definitely. The healthcare officials had a lot of critical posts about CCP, which reached Indian news as well. I was laughing at the hypocrisy chud for the moral consistency argument, by the way. Chad thinks I'm with the chud. No, this person is not a chud. This person is like a typical, Twitter leftist, kind of. Anyway. Want free speech for counter-revolutionaries? I mean, that's usually what free speech is, yes. For the record, like, that's how that works. Okay, Trump claims FBI took his passports during the Mar-a-Lago raid. Let's get to America.
Morning with that battle over that FBI seizure of documents from former President Trump's Florida home, with Trump now calling for the release of the unredacted affidavit.
I'm sure they have good takes, by the way, the Radio Free Amanda. I'm just... but that is, like, funny to... I have to mention it. As much as I love high-speed rail and shit, as much as I believe Top G is killing it by offering all Chinese people sparkling water, okay? And he calls it Chinese prosperity. Right? Top G is a top G. And he wants every Chinese person to have a Bugatti. It's not like Top G actually likes free speech.
Behind the search.
The Justice Department is fighting to keep the affidavit under seal, saying that releasing it could jeopardize the ongoing criminal investigation that has potential implications for national security. Our senior national correspondent, Terry Moran, is in Washington with more for us. Good morning, Terry.
Good morning, Robin. This morning, former President Trump is battling back against the Justice Department. He is demanding that the department release to him and to the public the underlying evidence and justification for the search at his Mar-a-Lago residence. It is a hardball tactic in this high-stakes struggle. This morning, former President Donald Trump is calling for the immediate release of the completely unredacted affidavit behind...
Oh, dude, why did you ban this guy? He said, do you actually think you're fighting for what is right with your pansy boy picture behind you? You're an anti-white racist little bitch. Dude, come on. You can't be banning motherfuckers like this. At least until they say some other stuff. Oh, he's back. He said, you're a clown. Give me more. 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 Come on. You got to do better than that, though. If you're going to be in here and we're going to play with you, you have to be better than that. You can't just be like, you're a clown. And yes, I am an anti-white racist. I was quite literally banned from this platform for my horrifying anti-white racism. It shocked the world. It shocked the nation.
Behind last week's FBI search of his Florida residence. But the Department of Justice wants that affidavit, a sworn document that provides justification for a search and thus a possible roadmap to the case, to remain sealed to protect witnesses in its investigation into Donald Trump's alleged mishandling of classified information.
They certainly don't want to put former President Trump or anyone close to him on notice of what they are looking at.
The Justice Department argues that publishing the affidavit would reveal specific investigative techniques and could even compromise their investigation. That investigation is a criminal probe with national security implications. DOJ revealing it has witnesses cooperating in this investigation and indicating that a grand jury is involved. Now, some lawmakers are also demanding answers. The top Democrat and Republican on the Senate Intelligence Committee have asked the Director of National Intelligence and the DOJ to provide the classified documents retrieved by the FBI, 11 sets in total.
The best part of this passport story is that the Trump team was notified that filter teams found the passports and set up a time/place to return them before Trump tweeted that out on Truth Social. Just the best lying. Yeah, I mean, listen, you got to make the most of it, okay? From what I understand, some of the documents that they have that they refuse to give back to the government when they asked for it via subpoena were, you know, like genuinely serious stuff. And obviously they had the opportunity to like explain what had actually happened, which they refused to do so. So obviously, there's a lot of different components of the story, but including, but not limited to, the fact that, he's trying to make the most of this. He's like, oh, they took my passports. It's like, yeah, they did. They found that they took your passports and they wanted to give it back to you. Okay? And instead, you're just like trying to make the most of it as best as you can. Come on, boy. Chat back, bitch. Anti-white racist little punk thinking you can be racist towards my people. Now I'm back in the main chat. Bitch boy had put me in silent chat. You're all losers. Okay, this guy is just kind of sad. He's just really loving the I think he's just loving the attention that you guys are giving him. Yeah, it's just, that's so sad. It's not working, brother. He said silent chat. I don't even think he's a Zoomer. He has to be like probably older, right? If he doesn't fucking know what like being banned is. Racism towards whites will not be allowed. What are you going to do about it? Okay, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do? Nothing. That's what I thought. All right.
Along with an assessment of potential risks to national security as a result of their mishandling at Mar-a-Lago. The Democratic chairs of the House Intelligence and Oversight Committees requested a similar assessment. Sources tell AB.
Okay, look, here's why. First of all, you're like probably 40 years old. I'm sorry we're better than you. You're jealous of my race. Every single one of you saying F white people. Here's the problem. Okay? It is kind of your fault because you're spending time on Twitch instead of, repopulating the white race. But you can't because you're a fucking loser, right? Part of the reason why you're a fucking loser is because you say stuff like this. And it's sad. It's really sad. And you're fearful for no reason. You're fearful of people having consensual sex with your mom. You're fearful that the white race, which is supposedly a race, I guess, that has expanded and also gotten smaller throughout time, is under attack somehow. Because people have told you that it's under attack. But the thing is, just get better. Okay? Get better. Also, I'm white. Is that Andrew Tate? You a self-loathing white? I do not loathe myself at all. Your beach. Okay, I'm bored. I thought he was going to give us something good. Also, white people save the Jews from extermination is such a funny fucking take. Extermination in the hands of who? Oh, that's right. White people. That's true. So that, like, like who was doing the extermination? Bunch of sissy boys. You're a big tough guy, dude. It's like saying white people freed the slaves. I mean, they probably say that as well. Imagine using your 15 minutes of fame to say stupid shit. We need to thank you. Aw. All right, that's enough. We've gotten enough out of this guy. He's not good content, unfortunately. You could have been entertaining, you could have been engaging, and yet you chose to just, like, you know, fire off in the most boring way possible. Either 45 or 12, I can't tell. Yeah. I gave you the opportunity. I really wanted you to fucking pop off. All right, let's run this back here.
By the FBI, 11 sets in total, along with an assessment of potential risks to national security as a result of their mishandling at Mar-a-Lago. The Democratic chairs of the House Intelligence and Oversight Committees requested a similar assessment. Sources tell ABC News investigators are now scrubbing through security footage subpoenaed from Mar-a-Lago as they try to retrace the movements of these classified materials and determine whether the country's national secrets have been compromised. As a candidate, Donald Trump vowed to safeguard classified material.
In my administration.
This was great. Which also cucked him in the end, because, like, he literally increased the penalty for espionage, which now he's charged with. He also appointed the FBI director who was conducting the investigation into retrieving the classified information that he was keeping, not allowed to. He also appointed the magistrate as well, if I'm not mistaken, or it was a Trump-appointed Republican judge. Wasn't even too fond of Trump himself. So there's just, like, nothing more cucked than being Donald Trump at this point. It's just you're hoisted by your own petard. Made it more illegal, hired all the people who will imprison him. Yeah, it's great. He built the gun, loaded it, and still accidentally shot himself in the foot.
I'm going to enforce all laws concerning the protection of classified information. No one will be above the law.
But now, under investigation himself, he's changing his tune and his arguments. At first denouncing the raid as a political witch hunt, but then claiming that he had declassified the documents found at Mar-a-Lago anyway.
Yeah, actually, many people don't know this. Many people don't know this, but the FBI planted the documents, which I declassified immediately. In my mind.
Some of which were marked SCI, that means from the most sensitive U.S. intelligence sources. Trump's also claiming that the FBI agents seized 3 of his passports during the raid. ABC News confirmed that's true, but all 3 have been returned and 2 were already expired. Amid attacks on the FBI by Trump and other Republicans, there has been an
Thank you, not exactly KB and Alessandro, if I get this
increase in threats and acts of violence towards law enforcement, including a Pennsylvania man who was charged Monday for threatening law enforcement officials in the days after the Mar-a-Lago raid, writing in one post, "My only goal is to kill more of them before I drop." Meanwhile, in Georgia, in an unrelated investigation into Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 election, their prosecutors in Fulton County have told Rudy Giuliani, Trump's lawyer in those battles, that he is a target of the investigation, which means it is possible Giuliani could be indicted. Robin?
So the Chapo boys, I was listening to them this morning, and they pointed out something really interesting about this, which is something that I had not considered as well, which is the idea that Donald Trump potentially wanted to, run a separate grift on top of like basically every single grift that he ran when he was in the White House. But like whistleblowers had already mentioned that the information that Donald Trump had in these classified documents, like specifically pertaining to possibly, allegedly, nukes and nuclear information, was handed off to the Saudis, or at least they were interested in handing it off to the Saudis. Okay? And what's wonderful about that is that, like, that, as they mentioned, was like actually really fucked up, okay, in comparison to like I don't know, fucking calling Ukraine or whatever, or the other shit that he was impeached for. But having said that, okay, having said all of that, someone, I guess, in the State Department didn't want to make that big of a deal out of it at the time when he was president. Or maybe they just didn't have the opportunity to make a bigger deal out of it at the time, which is wild. Miskiv was going to Saudi to recover our classified documents, and you stopped him. I see you listen to Chapo too. No, I did. I did listen to Chapo. I was listening to Chapo right before I started. And there was a probe already, like a probe into Donald Trump's interactions with Saudi Arabia has resurfaced. This was like back from like 2017 or something. But a probe had already resurfaced following a report FBI agents who raided the former president's Florida residence were seeking documents related to nuclear weapons. Citing anonymous experts and classified information, the Washington Post said the research showed concern among U.S. government officials about what kind of information could be located at the Mar-a-Lago club and whether it could fall into the wrong hands. Okay? The House of Representatives report highlighted whistleblowers' concerns with the Trump administration's efforts to transfer sensitive nuclear technology to Saudi Arabia, and was tweeted on Thursday by Judd Legum, who runs the Popular Information newsletter. We don't know why Trump took classified nuclear docs, he said in a follow-up tweet, but certain nuclear information would have very high economic value to Saudi Arabia and other governments. And this is from 2019. Fordham University law professor, why would Trump want to keep nuclear documents? It is time to review the 2019 House Oversight Committee's stunning allegations of nuclear corruption between the Trump administration and Saudi Arabia and Qatar. That committee report made a number of accusations against the Trump administration, including that it tried to rush the transfer of highly sensitive U.S. nuclear technology to Saudi Arabia. This was without congressional review and in potential violation of the Atomic Energy Act that restricts the export of U.S. nuclear technology. Now, obviously, for those of you who are wondering, like, well, how the fuck would Saudi Arabia develop like a nuclear program off of like this confidential information? They don't have to personally do that. They can do it in Pakistan. They can take that information, which is another client state to the United States of America, alongside our incredibly important ally in Saudi Arabia itself. Okay? Why would you put nukes in your title? Because we are talking about nukes currently as you are asking that dumbass fucking question. Pakistan already has nukes, but they can also get, they can develop better nukes, different nukes. Okay? The report also raised questions about the relationship between White House and Riyadh following the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, which was met with equivocation by President Trump and other top administration officials. The report said that the U.S. strong private commercial interests have been pressing aggressively for the transfer of highly sensitive nuclear technology to Saudi Arabia, and this posed a potential risk to U.S. national security absent adequate safeguards. No, Kushner didn't get paid $2 million. Kushner got paid $2 billion with a B. These commercial entities stand to reap billions of dollars through contracts associated with constructing and operating nuclear facilities in Saudi Arabia, it added. However, in July 2019, the Republican staff of the House Oversight Committee rejected Democrats' claims that the Trump administration committed wrongdoings in its dealings with the Middle Eastern kingdom. The report said that the firm IP3 International, comprised of former U.S. national security officials pushing to build nuclear power plants in Saudi Arabia, had kept Congress in the loop. Also, the Trump administration was not rushing nuclear technology to the kingdom, nor had it skirted requirements for congressional notification. The evidence currently before the committee does not show impropriety in the proposed transfer of nuclear energy technology to Saudi Arabia, the Republicans said. Oh, wow. Well, I guess if they said that, then that's fine. Also, 24-hour man, thank you for the 10 gifted subs. Meanwhile, Trump's daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, has called the FBI search of Mar-a-Lago outrageous. Christina Bobb said that. Yada, yada, yada. We already know that part. But basically, this was an active and ongoing problem in a sea of other controversies at the time. But considering that, considering that they had already accounted for it, like they had said that, these are former contractors that want to build nuclear facilities in Saudi Arabia, that it was fine. I personally love the idea that the country most responsible for 9/11 wants to get America's nuclear program. It is so awesome. Fuck it, YOLO. Literally just let's see. Let's really spice it up. You know what I mean? Do you think he purposely didn't give the files back for the publicity? No. I think he purposely didn't give the files back because it's incriminating. The files might not necessarily just be about nukes. Some of the classified information there might also be about what Donald Trump did. Like, top secret classification could imply either direct information about the nuclear program that he had, or it could be information about his dealings with Saudi Arabia. Will there be real consequences? Who knows? This is still, remember, speculation. Trump did the Live Golf Tour and said that is Saudi-backed and said, we never got to the bottom of who did 9/11. Except he also ran on Saudi Arabia doing 9/11. And he also said that he was going to declassify information revolving around 9/11. That was another false campaign promise that he made. So remember that. And the Live Golf Tournament was happening at the Trump Golf Course, of course. And the Live Golf Tournament is another way for Saudi Arabia to reaffirm its allegiances with powerful, wealthy former presidents like Donald Trump. And listen, if they clap the Rosenbergs over this, they got to at least put Trump in jail. Yeah, but you have to understand, Rosenbergs gave the nukes and the nuke information to the USSR, and the USSR is bad. Whereas Trump gave the nuclear information to Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia is our ally. The fact that Saudi Arabia or the kingdom or the kingdom's family had a role in 9/11 does not change that reality, because they have oil, and oil is good, and they're important. They're an important trade partner for us. So, therefore, giving Saudi Arabia nukes or allowing the nuclear proliferation of Saudi Arabia, done by, of course, former national security officials in a company ran by America's greatest minds, is actually a good thing, not a bad thing. Whenever I do something illegal and I get caught, I give the person who caught me your name. So I'm sorry if that gets you in trouble. Don't worry about it. We'll deal with it. It's a no-win. The government won't release info about top secret docs, so Trump gets to claim it's a witch hunt. Any thoughts on maybe this is an inside job? No, that's not true. So they could. The problem is, I think the FBI won't, because they're pussies. And it's the same exact reason as to why the FBI originally did not want to even make a bigger deal out of this and asked politely, time and time again, to get this information back, to retrieve this information. But like, this is known. And the irony is, of course, this happened literally after Khashoggi was killed, and people were like kind of anti-Saudi Arabia in the media. The Trump administration granted 2 authorizations to U.S. companies to share sensitive nuclear power information with Saudi Arabia shortly after the killing of journalist Jamal Khashoggi in October, a U.S. senator who saw the approval said on Tuesday. The timing of the approvals is likely to heap pressure on the administration of President Donald Trump from lawmakers who become increasingly critical of the United States. Support for Saudi Arabia since Khashoggi was killed in the Saudi consulate in Istanbul in October. Tim Kaine in the Membrane, a Democrat from Virginia, called the timing of the approvals shocking and said that it adds to a disturbing pattern of behavior of the administration's policy on Saudi Arabia. The Department of Energy granted the first Part 810 authorization on October 18th, 16 days after Khashoggi was killed. The second occurred on February 18th. U.S. authorities have concluded that the responsibility for Khashoggi's death went to the highest levels of Saudi government. Riyadh has denied that Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman was involved. The authorizations were among 7 granted to U.S. companies by Trump's administration since 2017 as Washington and Riyadh negotiate a potential wider agreement to help Saudi Arabia develop its first 2 nuclear power reactors. The Energy Department has kept information in the approvals of Saudi Arabia confidential, citing protection of business interests. Once again, going back to obviously what Juniper has said time and time again, America's not a real country, but instead 9 corporations and a trench coat. The department confirmed the 2 authorizations were issued after the killing of Khashoggi, but did not respond to a question about why the names of the companies have not been released. In the past, 810 approvals have been made available for the public to view at the department's headquarters. 810 approvals. An 810 authorization simply provides U.S. companies the ability to compete in the international civil nuclear market. Lawmakers have been anxious to keep abreast of talks on nuclear power development between the administration and Riyadh to make sure any deal contains strict nuclear non-proliferation standards. Saudi Arabia and Washington had begun talks about nuclear power development before Trump's presidency. By the way, that's the other part of this process. Like, Tim Kaine's like, oh my God, I can't believe that they're like doing nuclear proliferation and giving like state secrets over to Saudi Arabia. Okay. Well, you know, prior administrations would have done this as well, and Joe Brandon would probably do this as well, legally. Okay? So that's the other part of this. They don't give a fuck. Once again, Donald Trump's biggest issue in this circumstance is that he probably tried to do this like he's tried to do everything else. He could have done it in the legal route, but the legal route is not as fun, and it doesn't offer him or Jared Kushner additional funding, okay, his fucking idiotic fail son-in-law, additional opportunity to make money off of it. So you got to do it in a scammy way, and you got to do that scam in the most obvious, like, overt scam way possible. And that's the problem. And then that shit can also bite you in the ass, even if everyone else does it, because you did it in a way. And you're also Donald Trump, so obviously people are pissed off at you and they want to use it against you, and they're going to use it against you. Last year, the Crown Prince said the kingdom did not want to acquire a nuclear bomb, but if its arch rival Iran did, we will follow suit as soon as possible. Late last month, Trump declared a national emergency because of tensions with Iran and blah, blah, blah. We already know that, which Iran should get a nuclear program if they choose to do so. Riyadh plans to issue a multi-billion-dollar tender in 2020 to build its first 2 nuclear power reactors. The United States, South Korea, Russia, China, and France are competing for the business. Reactor builder Westinghouse, which has been hit by a downfall in the U.S. nuclear power industry, would likely sell components to Saudi Arabia in any deal involving U.S. technology. Westinghouse is now owned by Brookfield Asset Management Incorporated. Nice. So yeah. The Hasanabi doctrine rules, please. Yeah, I mean, of course. Number one rule in the Hasanabi doctrine for state building is acquire a nuke, or don't give up the nukes if you have one. Ukraine did, and they got cucked. Okay, it doesn't even matter if you can't fucking figure out what the launch codes are. You should still keep the nukes. Ukraine didn't keep the nukes and nudes. They didn't keep the nukes, and they got fucked.
And Terry, the Trump's organization's longtime CFO, Alan Weissenberg, is due in court this week as well?
That's right, Robin. Alan Weisselberg was the chief financial officer.
They're hitting Trump on 3 different avenues right now. One, his CFO, who is being investigated for tax fraud, and the Trump, Trump's own company is being investigated for tax fraud and tax evasion. Number 2, Rudy Giuliani is also being investigated for election meddling in Georgia. And number 3 is the fucking possible. Number 3 is the possible involvement that he had in January 6th / number 4, I guess, is the nuke stuff, the classified intel. So they're hitting him from all avenues currently. Now, Alan Weisselberg is super high up. He knows where the bodies are buried. He's the CFO of the Trump organization. They're trying to turn him state's witness against Donald Trump. That's a big one. Rudy Giuliani is also relatively high up in the Trump organization or the Trump administration. They're trying to flip him on Trump with respect to election meddling. And also, I guess they had someone at Mar-a-Lago that they already fucking turned to get enough evidence to gain enough evidence so that they could get and execute a search warrant in Mar-a-Lago to retrieve these classified documents that they had fucking that Donald Trump kept even after they asked nicely.
Of the Trump organization, and he is expected to plead guilty this week to a felony charge stemming from what prosecutors say was a tax scheme within the organization. Now, it's unclear whether or not Weisselberg will testify against Trump, cooperate with prosecutors. He's one of the closest business associates of Donald Trump for decades. Right now, it looks like he'll plead guilty this week.
All right, Terry, thank you.